The alarm bells rang through the massive halls of the Galactic Administrative Council. Captain Zethkar rushed down the metal corridors, his forearms moving quickly as he read the emergency report on his datapad. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The message had arrived 3 hours ago through quantum channels. This was technology that only the most advanced species in the galaxy could use. It came from a dead system called Kepler 442, a place that had been marked as empty space for over 3,000 years. Zethkar entered the main command center. Dozens of alien species worked at glowing screens, all trying to understand what had happened. Admiral Vesina, a tall blue creature with 6 eyes, turned to face him. "Captain, we have a problem," she said. Her voice was tight with worry. "Show him the message." A technician pressed some buttons. The main screen lit up with text in perfect galactic standard language. Zethkar read it slowly. "Attention Galactic Empire. We are humanity of Earth Sol System. We formally request recognition as a sovereign interstellar civilization. We have established colonies on 212 worlds across 53 star systems. Our population now exceeds 47 billion individuals. We seek peaceful, diplomatic relations and trade agreements. We await your response within 30 standard days. Signed, the United Earth Colonial Administration." Zethkar stared at the screen. His main heart skipped a beat. "This is impossible," he said. "That's what we thought too," Admiral Vexena replied. "But it gets worse, much worse." She pointed to another screen showing a star map. The signal came. "From here, Kepler 442, but look at our records." The screen changed to show old survey data. The system was marked in red letters. Surveyed nitrogen monoxide habitable worlds, nitrogen monoxide signs of life, quarantine zone toxic atmosphere. "Our ships surveyed that system 200 years ago," the Admiral continued. "Nothing there but poisoned rocks and dead planets. No way anything could live there." Zethkar looked at the energy readings from the signal. The numbers made his head hurt. "These power levels, they're reading as a Type 2 civilization. That's impossible for a species we've never heard of." A young officer with green skin ran up to them. "Sir, ma'am, we just got readings from our deep space sensors. There are massive industrial complexes in that system, hundreds of space stations, energy shields around 3 planets and ... And we're detecting faster-than-light ships moving through the area." The command center went quiet. Every alien in the room stopped working and looked at the screens. Admiral Vexana's 6 eyes blinked one by one. "How long have they been there?" "Unknown. But based on the size of the structures ... At least several hundred years, maybe more." Zethkar felt sick. The Galactic Empire was supposed to know about every advanced species in the galaxy. They had survey ships that mapped every system. They had sensors that could detect any civilization more advanced than stone tools. How could an entire species build an empire without them knowing? "What do we know about these ... doofens?" he asked. The technician brought up a search on the main computer. The word "searching" flashed for several minutes. Then, "Nitrogen monoxide results found. Try Earth," Admiral Vexena ordered. "Nitrogen monoxide results found. Sol System. Nitrogen monoxide results found. Humanity. Nitrogen monoxide results found." Zethkar's 4 hands started shaking. "Search for any mention of bipedal species from that region of space." The computer searched for 10 minutes. Finally, some results appeared. But they were strange, old stories from frontier worlds, legends, and myths. Tales told by drunk miners about strange 2-legged creatures who could survive anywhere. Children's stories about mysterious beings who helped lost travelers. "These are just myths," the Admiral said. "Fairy tales." But Zethkar was reading more carefully. "Look at the dates on these stories. Some of them are over 1,000 years old, and they all describe the same thing. Bipedal creatures, highly intelligent, extremely adaptable, good with technology." He paused and looked at the quantum signal data again. "What if they're not myths?" Before anyone could answer, another alarm started ringing. A different alarm. This one meant incoming ships. "Ma'am!" shouted an officer. "We have 3 ships approaching the station. They just appeared on our sensors. No jump signature, no warp trail. They just ... appeared." On the main screen, 3 sleek ships came into view. They were unlike anything in the Imperial database. Smooth, dark metal with no visible weapons. But the energy readings showed they were more advanced than anything the Empire had ever built. "Are they hostile?" Admiral Vexana asked. "Unknown. They're not targeting us, but they're not responding to our hails either." Sethkar studied the ships. Something about their design looked familiar, but he couldn't place it. Then one of the ships sent a tight beam transmission directly to their communication array. "Greetings, Galactic Administrative Council," came a voice. It spoke perfect Galactic Standard, but with a strange accent none of them had heard before. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Earth Colonial Ship Endeavor. We come in peace to discuss our formal diplomatic request, permission to come aboard." The entire command center was silent. Admiral Vexana looked at Zethkar. He looked back at her. Neither of them knew what to do. Finally, the Admiral spoke. "This is Admiral Vexana of the Galactic Administrative Council. Captain Chin, our records show no species called humans in this galaxy. Can you explain how you came to be here?" There was a pause. Then the human voice came back, and Zethkar could hear something like amusement in it. "Admiral, with respect, your records are incomplete. We've been here for quite some time. Perhaps it would be easier to discuss this in person." Zethkar made a decision. "Admiral, we need to find out what's going on. If these humans are real, if they really have an empire we don't know about, we need to understand how that's possible." Admiral Vexana thought for a moment. Then she activated her communication system. "Captain Chun, you have permission to dock. But know that this station is heavily defended." "Of course, Admiral. We wouldn't expect anything less from the Galactic Empire." As the human ships moved toward the docking bays, Zethkar couldn't shake the feeling that something very big was about to change. The Empire had controlled the galaxy for thousands of years. They knew every species, every world, every civilization, or so they had thought. He looked at the message on the screen again. 212 worlds, 53 star systems, 47 billion people. An entire civilization that had somehow escaped Imperial notice. "Admiral," he said quietly, "what if this isn't the only thing we don't know about?" Admiral Vexana's 6 eyes focused on him. "What do you mean?" "I mean, if one species can hide an entire empire from us, what else might be out there?" "What else? Have we missed?" Before she could answer, the docking bay sensors activated. The human ship had arrived. In a few minutes, they would meet face to face with a species that wasn't supposed to exist. Zethkar checked his sidearm and straightened his uniform. Whatever happened next, he had the feeling that the galaxy was about to become a much more complicated place. Captain Sarah Chun walked into the meeting room with 2 other humans behind her. Zethkar had never seen anything like them. They walked on only 2 legs, had hair on their heads, and skin that came in different colors. Their eyes were small compared to most galactic species, but they seemed to notice everything. "Thank you for meeting with us," Captain Chun said. She was shorter than most Imperial officers, but something about the way she carried herself made her seem bigger. "I know this must be confusing for you." Admiral Vexana's 6 eyes studied the humans carefully. "Captain Chun, our records show that the systems you claim to control have been surveyed multiple times. They are listed as uninhabitable. How do you explain this?" Captain Chen smiled. It was an expression that showed her teeth, which should have looked threatening but somehow didn't. "Admiral, perhaps your surveys missed a few things. We'd be happy to show you." She placed a small device on the table. It projected a 3-dimensional map of space above them. Hundreds of star systems appeared, marked with different colors. "These are our current territories," she said simply. Zethkar felt his stomach drop. The map showed human colonies scattered across a huge area of space. Systems the Empire had marked as empty or dead glowed with signs of life and industry. "This is impossible," he said. "We've surveyed all of these systems." most of them multiple times. One of the other humans, a tall man with dark skin, spoke up. Commander Zethkar, when were your last surveys of the Kepler 442 system? Zethkar checked his datapad. 212 years ago? Standard survey protocol? 3 ships. Full sensor sweep, atmospheric analysis. Results: toxic atmosphere, no life signs, no mineral resources worth extraction. The human nodded. And what did your sensors show for atmospheric composition? 70% nitrogen, 25% carbon dioxide, 3% methane, 2% other gases. Completely toxic to all known life forms. Captain Chun touched her device. The hologram changed to show the Kepler 442 system as it looked now. 3 planets glowed with the blue-green colors that meant breathable atmosphere and plant life. Current atmospheric composition of Kepler 442b, she said. 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 1% other gases, perfect for human life. The room went silent. Admiral Vexena leaned forward. You're telling us you changed the atmosphere of an entire planet? 3 planets, actually, the tall human said. And 2 moons. Took us about 150 years. Zethkar's mind was spinning. Terraforming entire worlds was something the Empire only did in special cases. It took massive resources and thousands of years. How is that possible? Your species isn't in our databases. You shouldn't have that kind of technology. Captain Chain's smile got a little wider. Commander, perhaps your databases need updating. Admiral Vexena stood up. Her voice was shaking. I'm ordering immediate verification missions to these systems. We need to see this for ourselves. Of course, Captain Chun said. We'll provide safe passage coordinates. Some of our territory has defensive systems that might mistake Imperial ships for threats. 3 days later, Zethkar was aboard the Imperial survey ship Dominator, heading toward what the humans called the Ross 128 system. According to Imperial records, it contained 1 red dwarf star and 3 lifeless rocks. According to the humans, it was home to over 2 billion people. Approaching the Ross 128 system, reported the navigation officer. Sensors are picking up ... oh my gods. The main screen showed space filled with activity. Massive space stations orbited the star. Hundreds of ships moved between the planets. The energy readings were off the charts. How long have they been here? Admiral Vexena asked through the communication system. The science officer was studying his instruments with all 4 of his eyes. Based on the size and complexity of these structures, at least 300 years, maybe more. They approached the second planet. According to Imperial records, it was a frozen ball of ice with no atmosphere. What they saw instead was a blue and green world with white clouds and obvious signs of cities on the night side. This is impossible, Zethkar muttered. We surveyed this system 150 years ago. Sir, the communications officer called out. We're being hailed by a space station. Put it through. A human voice came over the speakers. Imperial vessel, this is Ross Station Control. Welcome to the Ross 128 system. Please transmit your diplomatic clearance codes and intended destination. Admiral Vexena activated her microphone. This is Admiral Vexena of the Galactic Empire. We're conducting a verification survey of this system. Copy that, Admiral. Please maintain your current course and speed. A escort ship will guide you to the diplomatic facilities on Ross 128b. A sleek human ship appeared alongside them. It was smaller than the Dominator, but somehow looked more dangerous. Admiral, the tactical officer whispered, that ship ... Its weapon systems are more advanced than ours. As they flew toward the planet, Zethkar looked out the window at the impossible sight below. Cities covered the continents. Orbital elevators reached up from the surface. Agricultural areas in perfect geometric patterns fed billions of people. How did we miss this? He asked. The science officer was running deep scans of the planet. Sir, I'm reading carbon dating from some of the oldest structures. They're showing dates of over 800 years. 800 years? Admiral Vexena's voice cracked. That's impossible. We've had ships in this region for 1,000 years. They landed at a spaceport that was bigger and more advanced than anything on the Imperial capital world. Thousands of humans moved around, working with technology that made Imperial equipment look primitive. A human woman met them at the landing ramp. She had gray hair and wrinkled skin, showing her age, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Welcome to Ross 128B, she said. "I'm Governor Martinez. I understand you have questions about our presence here." Admiral Vexena looked around at the bustling spaceport. Ships from dozens of human worlds were loading and unloading cargo. "Governor, our records show this system was surveyed 150 years ago. There was nothing here." Governor Martinez nodded. "Yes, I remember that survey." "The ISV Conquest, Captain Hellick commanding. 3 ships, standard sensor sweep." Zethkar felt cold. "You remember it? You were here?" "Of course. We've been here for over 400 years. Your ships passed right through our system. We watched them the whole time." "But how? Our sensors would have detected you." The governor smiled the same way Captain Chun had. "Would they?" "Your sensors are designed to look for Imperial technology signatures. We don't use Imperial technology." She led them to a viewing platform overlooking the city. Millions of humans went about their daily lives below. "We've been watching the Empire for a very long time. We know how your sensors work, how your ships operate, what signatures you look for. It's not hard to avoid detection when you understand." The hunter. Admiral Vexena was gripping the railing with all 6 of her hands. "This changes everything. If you've been here this long, if you have this many people, why didn't you contact us before?" Governor Martinez looked out at her city. "Admiral, the Empire has a history of how it treats species it considers threats. We preferred to develop peacefully, without interference. But now you're revealing yourselves." "Why?" The governor turned to look at them. Her expression was serious now. "Because the galaxy is changing. There are threats coming that will require cooperation between all advanced species. The time for hiding is over." That night, aboard their ship, Zethkar reviewed the day's reports. The human colony was real. It was massive. It was advanced. And according to every test they could run, it had been there for centuries. "Admiral," he said over the communication system, "if the humans have been here this long and we never detected them, what else have we missed?" Admiral Vexena's reply was quiet. "I've been thinking the same thing. I've sent orders to verify 12 more systems on their list, but Zethkar, if they're right about all of them, then the Empire doesn't control the galaxy like we thought." "No, we don't." Zethkar looked out at the human city lights below. Somewhere down there, billions of people lived their lives in a civilization the Empire never knew existed. They had families, jobs, dreams, and technology that surpassed Imperial science, and they had been watching the Empire the entire time. The next morning brought reports from the other verification missions. Every single one confirmed the same impossible truth: the human colonies were real. They were old. They were advanced, and the Empire had no idea how they had missed them all. The emergency session of the High Council had been going for 18 hours. Representatives from every major species in the Empire sat around the massive circular table, all trying to understand the same impossible question: how could an entire civilization exist without them knowing? Zethkar stood before the council, his report in his 4 hands. Behind him, holographic displays showed image after image of human colonies, cities, and technology that shouldn't exist. "The verification is complete," he announced to the silent room. "All 47 systems checked so far contain active human colonies. Population estimates range from 50 million to over 3 billion per world. Total human population appears to exceed 40 billion individuals." Council member Thexla, an ancient creature with crystal-like skin, spoke first. "This is impossible. Our survey records go back 3,000 years. We have explored every system within 500 light-years of the galactic core." "That's what we thought," Zethkar replied. "But the evidence is clear. The humans have been there all along." High Chancellor Vorthak, the most powerful being in the Empire, leaned forward. His massive frame made the chair creak. Captain Zethkar, are you suggesting that our entire survey fleet has been incompetent for 3 millennia? Zethkar felt nervous, but he had to tell the truth. No, sir. I'm suggesting something worse. I think our records have been altered. The room erupted in angry voices. Council members shouted in dozens of different languages. Chancellor Vorthak slammed his fist on the table, making the whole room shake. Silence, he roared. Captain, explain yourself. Zethkar activated his holographic display. We found inconsistencies in the archives. Survey reports that don't match the dates they were supposedly written. Energy signatures that were recorded but then removed from official files. And most disturbing of all, we found deleted records. A new voice spoke up. Show us, Admiral Kestar. Head of Imperial Intelligence walked into the room. She carried a sealed data container in her manipulator arms. I've been conducting my own investigation. What Captain Zethkar found is only the beginning. She placed the container on the table and opened it. Inside was an ancient storage crystal, the kind used in the early days of the Empire. This crystal was found in the deepest archives of the Imperial Library. It contains survey data from 2,000 years ago. Data that was supposed to be destroyed. She activated the crystal. New holographic displays appeared, showing star charts and survey reports, but these reports were different from the official records. According to this data, Survey Fleet Gamma 7 encountered a human colony in the Tau Ceti system in Imperial year 2847. The report describes first contact with a species calling themselves humans from Earth. It details their technology, their peaceful nature, and their request for trade relations. Council member Thexla's crystal skin began to glow with confusion. But our official records show Tau Ceti was surveyed in Imperial year 2847, and no life was found. Exactly, Admiral Kestar said. Someone changed the records, but they missed this backup crystal. She activated more displays. Over the past week, my teams have found 17 more hidden crystals. All contain references to human contact. All contradict our official records. Zethkar studied the displays. Admiral, what happened to Survey Fleet Gamma 7? That's where it gets interesting. According to official records, the entire fleet was lost in a navigation accident. All hands died when they flew into a black hole, and according to the hidden records, Admiral Kestar's expression was grim. They completed their mission and returned to base. The crew was debriefed, then reassigned to different posts across the Empire. Within 2 years, most of them had died in various accidents or had their memories wiped for security reasons. The room went completely silent. Chancellor Vorthak's breathing was the only sound anyone could hear. You're telling us, he said slowly, that someone in the Empire has been systematically erasing evidence of human contact for 2,000 years? It appears so, sir. High Archivist Melfin, keeper of all Imperial records, spoke up. His voice was shaking. I've spent my entire life maintaining the archives. If what you're saying is true, then most of what we know about galactic history could be false. Admiral Kestar nodded. That's why I've ordered a complete audit of the historical archives. But what we've found so far is troubling. She activated another display. This one showed a timeline of Imperial expansion over 3,000 years. Look at this pattern. Every 50 to 70 years, there's a gap in our records. Survey missions that supposedly failed. Entire fleets that vanished. Whole regions of space that were explored and then marked as empty. Zethkar was studying the timeline. Admiral, these gaps, they correspond to the locations of human colonies. Yes, and there's something else. She brought up personnel records. Every officer who might have had contact with humans was either killed, had their memory wiped, or disappeared from official records. The pattern goes back over 2 millennia. Council member Yurik, a floating gas creature, spoke in a worried voice. Who could have the power to do such a thing? To rewrite Imperial history on this scale? Chancellor Vorthak stood up. His massive frame towered over everyone else. There's only one organization with that kind of access to records and personnel. Everyone looked at him. They all knew what he was thinking, but no one wanted to say it. Imperial intelligence, he said quietly. Someone in Imperial intelligence has been covering up human contact for 2,000 years. Admiral Kestar's face went pale. Sir, I've been head of intelligence for 20 years. I had no knowledge of any such operation. Then someone above you, or someone who's been operating independently for centuries. High Archivist Melfin was searching through his personal files. Chancellor, there's something else. One found references to something called Project Silent Sky in some very old budget records. The funding requests go back 1,500 years, but I can't find any details about what the project actually does. How much funding? Zethkar asked. Enormous amounts. Enough to fund entire fleet operations. The money disappears into classified accounts that I don't have access to. Admiral Kestar was looking through her own files. I don't have any records of Project Silent Sky in current intelligence operations. Chancellor Vorthak walked to the window and looked out at the Imperial capital. Billions of beings lived in the massive city, all believing they knew the truth about their galaxy. Admiral Kestar, he said, I want every intelligence facility searched. I want every classified project reviewed. And I want to know who has been running Project Silent Sky. Sir, if there really is a secret organization within intelligence, they'll know we're investigating. They might destroy evidence or ... or what? Admiral Kestar looked around the room at all the council members. Or they might decide we know too much. The Chancellor turned back to face the council. Then we'd better find answers quickly. Over. The next 3 days, intelligence facilities across the Empire were searched. What they found made the human revelation look simple by comparison. Hidden databases contained detailed files on human technology, culture, and military capabilities. There were psychological profiles of human leaders going back centuries. There were strategic assessments of human colonies and detailed plans for something called Containment Protocol Omega. Most disturbing of all, they found evidence that someone had been manipulating Imperial policy for over 1,000 years, trade routes that avoided human space, military exercises that happened to overlook human colonies, exploration missions that were mysteriously canceled when they got too close to human territory. Zethkar was reviewing the files when Admiral Kestar found him in the archives. Captain, she said, we found something you need to see. She led him to a secure room deep in the intelligence headquarters. On the table was a single data pad. This was hidden in a vault that officially doesn't exist. It's a personal log from someone high up in the intelligence hierarchy. The entries go back over 800 years. Zethkar picked up the pad and started reading. The first entry made his blood run cold. Imperial year 1456, the humans continue to expand despite our efforts. Project Silent Sky has successfully prevented official contact for 3 centuries, but they are becoming harder to hide. Recommend moving to Phase 2 of the Containment Protocol. He kept reading. Entry after entry detailed a massive conspiracy to hide humanity from the Empire. But the deeper he read, the more confused he became. Admiral, he said. According to these logs, Project Silent Sky wasn't trying to destroy the humans. They were trying to protect them. Protect them from what? Zethkar found the answer in an entry from 600 years ago. The Empire's standard response to advanced non-member species is extermination or forced assimilation. The humans represent a unique opportunity for galactic development, but only if they are allowed to develop independently. Project Silent Sky will continue to shield them from Imperial attention until they are strong enough to defend themselves. Admiral Kestar read over his shoulder. Someone in our own government has been protecting the humans for centuries. But why reveal themselves now? Zethkar wondered. The answer came in the final entry, dated just 3 months ago. Phase 3 initiated. External threats require immediate alliance with. Chancellor Vorthak stood in front of the sealed vault deep beneath the Imperial Palace. The vault had been hidden for 5,000 years, accessible only to the Emperor himself. But the current Emperor was young and had never opened it. His grandfather? Emperor Valdris the Last, had sealed it before his death with instructions that it should only be opened in times of extreme crisis, finding out that an entire human civilization had been hidden from the Empire for 2,000 years. Definitely counted as extreme crisis. "Are you sure about this, Chancellor?" Admiral Kestar asked. "The Emperor's grandfather left specific warnings about opening this vault." "We need answers," Vorthak replied. "Project Silent Sky, the humans, the external threats mentioned in those logs, everything points back to Emperor Valdris." He knew something. The Chancellor placed his hand on the bioscanner. Ancient mechanisms clicked and whirred. Slowly, the massive door began to open. Inside the vault was a single room with walls covered in holographic projectors. In the center sat an ornate chair facing a simple table. On the table was a data crystal and a handwritten note. Zethkar picked up the note. The writing was shaky, like it had been written by someone who was very old or very scared. "To whoever opens this vault," he read aloud, "I am Emperor Valdris the Last, and I have made the greatest mistake in Imperial history. What you will see in this crystal will change everything you believe about our empire and our place in the galaxy. I pray that you are wiser than I was. Signed, Valdris, Imperial Year 847. Admiral Kestar activated the crystal." The room filled with holographic displays showing star charts, battle reports, and personal logs. But these weren't like any Imperial records they had seen before. "This data is over 4,000 years old," she said. Reading the timestamps, the first hologram showed a young Emperor Valdris, centuries before he became known as the Last. He looked confident and strong, nothing like the worried man who had written the note. "Imperial Year 432, the holographic Valdris began. "We have encountered a new species in the Outer Rim territories. They call themselves humans. Initial contact was peaceful. They offered trade and cultural exchange." The display changed to show images of early human colonies. Small settlements on frontier worlds with primitive but effective technology. "The humans are remarkable," the recording continued. "They adapt to environments that would kill most species. Their technology develops at an incredible rate. In just 50 years of contact, they have improved their ships and weapons significantly." Zethkar looked at Admiral Kestar. "This contradicts everything we found in the hidden records. The suggested first contact was 2,000 years ago, not 4,000. The holographic emperor continued his report. "Imperial Year 487. The humans have established colonies on 17 worlds. Our xenobiology experts are amazed by their adaptability. They can survive on worlds with gravity twice their home standard, in atmospheres that would poison most species, and in temperatures that range from Arctic to desert conditions. New images appeared showing human settlements on worlds that looked completely hostile to life. Yet the humans had not only survived, but thrived. Imperial Year 501. The human population has grown to over 1 billion across 32 worlds. Their technology now rivals our own in several areas. Military advisors are becoming concerned about potential threats." The display showed sleek human ships that looked surprisingly advanced for a species that had been in space for less than a century. Imperial Year 518. General Corlex has submitted a formal recommendation that the humans be classified as a potential threat to Imperial security. He suggests we should consider military action before they become too powerful. Chancellor Vorthak felt a cold sensation in his stomach. "Skip ahead, show us what happened next." The crystal jumped forward to Imperial Year 524, the holographic. Emperor looked older and more worried. "The Council has voted. General Corlex's recommendation has been approved. We will begin military operations against human colonies in 6 months. The operation is classified as Pacification Protocol 7. All human settlements are to be destroyed. All humans are to be eliminated." The room went silent. Admiral Kestar's hands were shaking as she operated the controls. "Chancellor, she whispered, "The Empire tried to commit genocide. The next recordings showed the beginning of what Imperial records called the Outer Rim Police Action. But the reality was much different than the sanitized official version. Imperial fleets attacked human colonies without warning. Entire planets were bombarded from space. Cities that had taken decades to build were destroyed in hours. Imperial. Year 525. The human resistance is stronger than expected. They have evacuated most of their civilian populations before our fleets arrived. Our intelligence suggests they knew about our plans in advance. The display showed battle footage. Human ships, smaller and fewer than Imperial vessels, fought with desperate skill. They used tactics the Empire had never seen before. Their military strategies unlike anything we've encountered, the Emperor's log continued. They don't fight to hold territory. Instead, they hit our supply lines, disappear into deep space, then strike somewhere else. Our fleets are chasing shadows. Zethkar studied the battle reports. They were using guerrilla warfare tactics, hit-and-run attacks. Imperial Year 527. General Korlex reports that we have eliminated 90% of known human settlements. However, intelligence estimates suggest that 70% of the human population escaped before our attacks. We don't know where they went. The holographic display showed star charts with red marks indicating destroyed human colonies. But there were also blue marks showing suspected human escape routes leading into unknown regions of space. Imperial Year 529. The war is officially over. We have achieved total victory. All human resistance has been eliminated. This is what we will tell the public and what will be recorded in official histories. The Emperor paused and his face showed an expression of deep regret. But the truth is different. The humans haven't been defeated. They've disappeared. Our best intelligence estimates suggest that millions of humans escaped into deep space. They took their most advanced technology with them, and worse, they know everything about us now. The display changed to show intercepted human communications from the final days of the war. We're not running away, said a human voice over static-filled audio. We're learning. Every battle teaches us more about Imperial tactics, technology, and weaknesses. When we return, we'll be ready. Admiral Kestar looked pale. They weren't defeated. They were studying us. The final recordings were the most disturbing. Emperor Valdris, now much older, sat alone in what looked like the same vault they were standing in. Imperial Year 847. I am recording this as my final act as Emperor. For 300 years, I have lived with the knowledge of what we did to the humans. And for 300 years, I have watched them watch us. He looked directly into the camera with tired, frightened eyes. They never left. They'd been out there the entire time, studying us, learning from us, growing stronger. Our intelligence networks have detected subtle signs of human activity for centuries. Ships that appear on our sensors for moments before vanishing. Communication signals that use encryption we can't break. Technology signatures that match human designs. The Emperor stood up and walked to a window showing the Imperial capital. But worse than their presence is what they've been doing. Every major Imperial policy decision for the past 2 centuries has somehow benefited human interests. Trade routes that avoid regions where they might be hiding. Military deployments that leave certain areas undefended. Scientific research that mysteriously stalls when it might lead to technology useful for finding hidden colonies. Chancellor Vorthak felt sick. He's saying the humans have been influencing Imperial policy. I believe, the Emperor continued, that the humans have agents within our government, possibly within the highest levels of Imperial command. They know our plans before we make them. They understand our weaknesses better than we do. The recording showed intelligence reports and strategic analyses. All suggested that someone with access to top-secret information had been passing it to human agents for centuries. The humans haven't just survived our attempt to destroy them. They've become the unseen power behind the Imperial throne. And I fear that when they finally decide to reveal themselves, we will discover that we are no longer the masters of this galaxy. The Emperor sat back down and looked directly at the camera one final time. To whoever watches this recording, know this. We did not defeat the humans. We taught them to hide. We showed them our capabilities and our weaknesses. We turned them from peaceful neighbors into the greatest threat the Empire has ever faced. He paused and took a deep breath. And they've been in control ever since. The recording ended. The vault fell silent, except for the quiet humming of the ancient equipment. Chancellor Vorthak, Admiral Kestar, and Captain Zethkar stood in the darkness, trying to process what they had learned. Chancellor, Zethkar said quietly, if Emperor Valdris was right, if the humans have been controlling Imperial policy for centuries, then everything we think we know about running this empire is wrong. The Chancellor finished. Admiral Kestar was studying the intelligence reports. Look at this. Every 3 weeks after discovering the truth about Emperor Valdris and the human war, Chancellor Vorthak stood in the main council chamber facing the largest gathering of Imperial leaders in history. Every species in the Empire had sent representatives. Every military commander, every intelligence chief, every planetary governor was present. They were all there to meet the humans, the real humans. Not just Captain China and her small diplomatic team, but the leaders of the civilization that had been secretly guiding the Empire for centuries. Before we begin, Chancellor Vorthak announced to the crowded room, I want everyone to understand what we've learned. The humans we're about to meet aren't asking to join our empire. They're not requesting permission to exist in our space. They're here to inform us that they've been protecting us for over 2,000 years. Murmurs of disbelief filled the chamber. Even after weeks of investigation and evidence, many Imperial leaders still couldn't accept the truth. The main doors opened and 12 humans walked into the room. They looked ordinary compared to the exotic alien species around them. No extra arms, no unusual skin colors, no telepathic abilities. Just bipedal creatures with simple clothing and calm expressions, but something about the way they moved made everyone in the room go quiet. These humans carried themselves like people who had never doubted their place in the galaxy. The lead human was an elderly woman with white hair and deep lines around her eyes. She walked to the center of the room and looked around at all the alien faces staring at her. I am Director Elena Vasquez of the Human Colonial Council, she said in perfect galactic standard. I've been managing human-imperial relations for the past 47 years. Admiral Kestar leaned forward. Managing our relations? We didn't know you existed until a month ago. Director Vasquez smiled. Admiral Kestar, born on Kepler Station, graduated top of your class from Imperial Academy, served on 17 different ships before taking command of intelligence. Married to Commander Thulvin, 2 children, favorite food is Altarian sea grain soup. The Admiral's face went pale. How do you know all that? Because we've been watching you your entire career. All of you, she gestured to the other humans with her. My colleagues here have been working within Imperial systems for decades. Dr. Martinez has been advising your Science Council on technology development. Mr. Kim has been helping plan your trade routes. Ms. Johnson has been reviewing your military strategies. The room erupted in angry voices. Council members shouted accusations of spying and infiltration. Chancellor Vorthak had to bang his ceremonial hammer several times to restore order. Director Vasquez, he said when the room was quiet again, are you telling us that humans have been secretly controlling Imperial policy? Not controlling, Chancellor. Guiding, there's a difference. She activated a holographic display showing the past 1,000 years of Imperial history. Let me show you what we've been protecting you from. The display highlighted dozens of potential disasters that the Empire had somehow avoided. Wars that never started, plague outbreaks that were mysteriously contained, technological developments that could have led to catastrophic accidents. Imperial year 1456. Director Vasquez began. Your scientists were developing quantum weapons that would have torn holes in space-time. Dr. Martinez, working under the identity of Professor Veltak, convinced them to pursue safer energy research. Instead, she pointed to another event. Imperial year 1789. The Chromatic Rebellion was planning to use biological weapons against civilian populations. Mr. Kim, Serving as intelligence analyst, Yershin provided information that led to the weapons being intercepted. Event after event showed human agents preventing disasters, stopping wars, and steering Imperial development away from dangerous paths. "You've been manipulating us," Council Member Thexla accused, her crystal skin glowing red with anger. "We've been keeping you alive," Director Vasquez replied calmly. "The Empire has survived and prospered for 3,000 years, not because of superior Imperial planning, but because humans have been quietly preventing you from destroying yourselves." "Captain," Zethkar studied the historical data. Why would you help the people who tried to exterminate your species?" Director Vasquez looked at him with an expression that was both sad and understanding. "Captain, your empire represents billions of innocent beings. The leaders who ordered our genocide died centuries ago. We weren't going to punish entire civilizations for the mistakes of their ancestors." She walked to the viewing window that showed the Imperial capital stretching to the horizon. "Besides, we learned something important during the war. The Empire wasn't evil, it was afraid. You saw a new species developing rapidly and you reacted out of fear that we might threaten your people. But we did threaten you," Admiral Kestar said quietly. "We tried to wipe you out. Yes, and you failed. But instead of seeking revenge, we chose a different path. We decided to prove that different species could coexist if they understood each other better." Director Vasquez turned back to face the Council. "For 2,000 years, we've been conducting the largest social experiment in galactic history. We wanted to see if we could guide a civilization toward wisdom instead of fear, to cooperation instead of domination. And have you succeeded?" Chancellor Vorthak asked. "Look around you, Chancellor. 3,000 years ago, the Empire controlled one star system and was constantly at war with its neighbors. Today, you oversee peaceful relations between hundreds of species across thousands of worlds. Your people live longer, healthier lives than ever before. You've eliminated poverty, disease, and most forms of violence." She paused and smiled. "Yes, I think we've succeeded." Council Member Urik's gaseous form swirled with confusion. "But if you've been helping us all this time, why reveal yourselves now?" Director Vasquez's expression became serious. "Because the experiment is over. You're about to face a challenge that requires full cooperation between our species." She activated a new display showing the edge of the galaxy. A dark mass was moving toward them from the empty space between galaxies. "This is the Void Fleet," she said. "An artificial intelligence that consumes entire civilizations. It destroyed the Andromeda Galaxy 2 million years ago, and now it's coming here." The room went completely silent. The holographic display showed massive ships, each one larger than an Imperial space station, moving steadily toward their galaxy. "Our long-range sensors detected them 5 years ago," Director Vasquez continued. "They'll reach the outer rim in 14 months. Based on their behavior in other galaxies, they'll systematically destroy every star system until nothing remains." Admiral Kestar was studying the tactical data. "How do we fight something like this? Those ships are enormous." "You don't," Director Vasquez replied. "At least not alone. Imperial military technology is about 50 years behind what's needed to have any chance against the Void Fleet." She gestured to one of her colleagues, a tall man with dark skin who stepped forward. "This is Admiral Harrison Chun, commander of the Human Defense Fleet," she said. Zethkar recognized the last name. "Related to Captain Sarah Chun?" "My daughter," Admiral Chun replied. "And yes, we've been planning for this moment for generations." He activated his own holographic display showing sleek human warships. The Human Defense Fleet consists of 1,200 vessels equipped with technology developed specifically to fight artificial intelligences. We've been preparing for the Void Fleet since we first detected similar threats in distant galaxies. But even our combined fleets won't be enough," Director Vasquez added. "The Void Fleet learns from every battle. It adapts to new weapons and tactics within hours. The only way to defeat it is with a strategy it can't predict." Chancellor Vorthak looked around the room at all the Imperial leaders. "What do you need from us?" "Full integration," Director Vasquez said. Human agents embedded throughout your command structure. Joint training exercises, shared technology development. Complete. Coordination between our civilizations. You're asking us to trust you with everything, Council Member Thexla pointed out. We're asking you to accept what's already true, Director Vasquez replied. Humans and Imperials have been partners for 2,000 years. Now we just want to make it official. She walked back to the center of the room. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all classifications, the age of secrets is over. Humanity formally requests recognition as an equal partner in galactic defense. In return, we offer our technology, our knowledge, and our commitment to protecting every species in this galaxy. Admiral Chun stepped forward. The Void Fleet has never been defeated, but it's never faced united civilizations working together with full knowledge of each other's capabilities. We have something it's never encountered before. What's that? Zethkar asked. Director Vasquez smiled. Hope and the absolute refusal to let anyone else face extinction while we have the power to prevent it. Chancellor Vorthak looked around the room one more time. Representatives from hundreds of worlds and dozens of species all waited for his decision. The weight of galactic history rested on his next words. The Galactic Empire formally recognizes humanity as equal partners in galactic defense, he announced. And we accept your offer of alliance. The room erupted in cheers from some representatives and worried.